Hello, welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic and an intriguing fog puzzle. I like fog and I like region sum lines, so I'm hopeful, without having read the rules, that this puzzle is going to suit me. As Simon has suggested, it might, so I'm going to look at this in a moment. It's by oddly even though, and that doesn't bode well for simplicity. And indeed, I can see that there are modifiers in the rules. So we'll look at that in a moment. Don't forget that you can get all of our apps, which do feature Fog of War. Brilliant new app. And lots of other apps, including Line Sudoku. So there are many to choose from, and they will all improve your Sudoku solving ability. There are hints and stuff. It's really good. Quality puzzles, all handcrafted, and we're proud of them. Give them a try. There's loads of content on our Patreon. The monthly hunt has closed this month. Blobs is brilliant, The Hobbit, but there'll also be a Sudoku hunt next month based on bogus puzzles, liars. So we're looking forward to bringing you that. And we've got other content on Patreon, including hard crossword videos, tough Sudoku solves, walkthroughs of previous months' Sudoku hunts, connections, loads of stuff going on there. Do join us. And of course there's our merchandise like this mug and Sven's Sudoku pad on the links under the video. But the first link is to Weighted Cells by Oddly Even. You can try it there yourself if you want. In our software, which is Sven's brilliant Sudoku pad software. So what are the rules? Normal Sudoku rules apply. You have to put 1 to 9 once each into every row, column, and 3x3 box. Now, the grid is partially covered in fog, and placing correct digits will clear the fog from surrounding cells. So it's not dynamic fog, it is just local fog. Now, weighted cells. One cell in each row, column, and box is lighter than normal. Lighter cells have a value equal to half their digit. Each digit from 1 to 9 appears once in the set of lighter cells, so they might appear in this group of cells. I'm just selecting 9 cells at random that could be the light cells of 1 to 9. And I think we've got the same for heavier cells. Lighter cells have a value equal to half their digit. One cell in each row and column and box is heavier than normal. Heavier cells have a value equal to 1.5 times their digit, not double, 1.5 times their digit. Each digit from 1 to 9 appears once in the set of heavier cells. No cell is both lighter and heavier. That's a relief, because if you were dividing by 2 and multiplying by 1.5, it would depend which way round you did it as to what number you would get. Anyway, yes, sorry. Finally, region sum lines. As expected, the sum of the values on a line within a box must be the same for each box that line passes through. And if a line passes through a box more than once, each time it passes through counts separately. Lines do not branch, cross, or share cells. Wow, I mean, doublers and, or no, not doublers, no doublers in fact, heavy cells and light cells. Interesting concept. Give it a try. Let's see what we find. I'm going to start now. Let's get cracking. Well, fog tells us that the only place we can possibly start is where there is no fog. And yeah, normally you would see this line and go 5 cells on one line in one segment and 2 cells in another. Tells us that the n of that line, the segment total, is somewhere between 15 and 17. That doesn't apply here because of the light and heavy cells notion. Oh, sorry, this is obvious, isn't it? Well, it's obvious to you. It wasn't obvious to me. There is a continuation of this line to there, and that therefore is a 1 cell segment on the line, on a line which has 5 cells here. Right, let's see what the minimum for these 5 cells are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we halve presumably the well, not the biggest of those because it's odd, but we halve the biggest even number of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is 15. Take off 2 is 13. This cell must be heavy because it can't get to 13. So we know it's heavy. My intended color scheme is going to be red for heavy cells, blue for light cells, and green for other cells. There are ways you can color a puzzle with sort of red for the heavy and maybe yellow for not heavy, and then blue for light and green for not light. But I find it gets too confusing. I've tried that sort of thing. So I'm going to just focus on what I can do. So if this is an 8 multiplied by 1.5, it's 12. Oh, I've just had a horrible thought. Horrible thought. I was assuming that it's the even numbers that are divided by 2 or multiplied by 1.5. But of course, we've got the whole possibility open to us of having numbers ending in a half as the n. Oh, and we've got that. Didn't I just work out a moment ago that if we halved the 4 here, the minimum value is... No, it wasn't 12, it was 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is 15, yes. But anyway, now I know I have to make that minimum value. I can divide the 5 by 2. The minimum value is 12.5. This cell is something times 1.5, but 8 times 1.5 is only 12. So this is a 9, and the n on this line is 13.5, and there's the fog clearing to prove that's correct. The n on this line is 13.5. And both bits of the line must have a modifier in box 1. And the modifier must be lighter on the 5 cell piece and therefore heavier on the 2 cell piece. I know both bits of the line have a modifier because the n ends in a half. So we need the red cell to be on this line. It can't be there next to another red cell, i.e. in the same row, so it's there. And this is an odd number being multiplied up to give a half, and then the total is going to be 13.5. So it's either a 7, which equals 10.5 plus a 3, or a 5, which equals 7.5 plus a 6, or well, I don't think this is going to work, but a 3 multiplied up would be 4.5, and this would have to be a 9, but we can't put a 9 there. 1 multiplied up would only give 1.5, which would require this to be 12. So I could see we were going up in increments of 3 here. So that's it. Okay, so this is a start. Now, either this is 5, 6 or 7, 3. And that is going to use up either 5 or 3. So this line is not going to contain the digits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But it's got to add up to 13.5. Oh, I'm going to have to think this one through. It's annoying. It's annoying that I can't get my head around this more easily. So let's assume the 5 was being used there. This could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. They add up to 16, but you could reduce the 6 by half and have 13. Now that's below what we need, so that is a possible way of doing it. So if the 5 is there, it has to be an odd digit that gets halved. So let's say, I think it would have to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. And then 5 there and 6 there, and the 7 would be halved. That would work. So maybe it doesn't work with 7, 3 here. This would be at least 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. That adds up to 18. And you could halve the 6 and you'd still be on 15. You're way over. And if we increase, yeah, so that's not it. So I should have been able to work out you couldn't use up a 3 here. So that's a 6 and that's a 5. And these are now, I think I've just worked that out. They are 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, and we're halving the 7. These digits are 8 and 9. They're actually green in my color scheme. Oh, and the line has continued now. We're going to have another segment adding up to 13.5 here. Oh, look at this. This is the next one to work on, surely. We've got two one-cell segments equal to each other. Right. There is a modifier in at least one of those segments, but it could be both. If the modifier is a heavy cell, it's got to be here. If it's a lighter cell, it could be in either. And if it's both, that's lighter and that's heavier. Right, this segment must add... Does this have... This doesn't have to end in a half, obviously. Okay, this segment of this line must add up, must have digits of 1, 2, 3. You could reduce the 3 by half, and then it's 1, 2, 1.5, and that's 4.5. So we've got a 4.5 minimum for the value of these cells. Doesn't feel like it's a lot of use, to be honest. 4.5 minimum. Oh, but okay, but it's got to either be a digit that can multiply up to by 1.5. Oh, I don't know. This feels like there's a lot of possibilities. This could be anything from... So, okay, let's just focus on the fact one of them is modified. That might mean something. If one of them was being halved to the other, it would either have to be 9, 6, or 3 being halved if it was odd, or an even number. Oh, I mean, this feels like there's so many possibilities. I don't love this. I don't know. I don't think this is probably the next bit of the puzzle. But I'm not sure what this does. Oh, hang on. Well, no, this could all be the same line at the moment. Is it this line? It's at least 2 cells? I'm not happy with that. I think it's got to be this line next, but how am I meant to know anything? There is a modifier in one of these two. Sorry, I'm just trying to think of a way that I can narrow something down. Let's first of all assume that there aren't 2 modifiers. So if you had a heavy cell, these would be either a 2 and a 3, a 4 and a 6, or a 6 and a 9. Well, it can't be 6 and 9. But it could be 4 here and 6 here. Because of 6 and 9, the 6 would be here, but that would have to be more a heavy cell, and we've already had a heavy cell in that column. If there was a lighter cell and an ordinary cell, well, that was fewer possibilities than I thought. Let me just note down what they were. So 2 doubling up or heavying up to 3, 4 heavying up to 6. Those were 2 possibilities. Now, if one of these is lighter and the other is natural, the lighter one, I think, has to be divisible by 3. It's 9, 6, or 3 to divide by 1.5. No, to divide by 2. What am I talking about? It's an even digit to divide by 2. But there's each of the even digits is possible there. We could have... So this is the modifier in each case, and these are the values. Now, but the trouble is there's one of each just throws everything into confusion, because then you can match any 2 of these values or certain values with a half on the end. I don't know. I mean, I'm really struggling to see how this helps. I mean, I suppose 2 and 1 is ruled out because the value of this is at least 4.5, and so is 4 halving to 2. Actually, so is 6 halving to 3. So is 8 halving to 4. Oh, of course, the value of this being 4.5 means all those halving things are ruled out. Ah, okay, the only way that this being at least 4.5 works here with a halver is if 9 is halving here to 4.5. This would then have to be a doubler. I mean a heavy cell, but we can't have another heavy cell here. So it's not, there's no halver here, but there is a modifier, and the modifier is a heavy cell, and it's there. And now we're back in these situations, although we do... Yeah, no, I've ruled out the halver. I've ruled out the lighter cell, the halver. It is a halver. Haven't I? No, I haven't. What I've said is that this is either a 2 or a 4 multiplying up to give this value. I think that's right. Multiplying up to 3 or 6. It can't be a 6 here multiplying up because that would clash. And anyway, it would multiply up to 9, which would clash. Yes, okay. So it can't be an 8 because this cell won't work. Right. So that is a 2 or a 4. This now has a value of either 3 or 6. Well, it can't be 3 because of this again. Oh gosh, it's so straightforward, really. That is a 4 multiplying up to have a value of 6. It cleared fog. I'm relieved about that. This has a value of 6 and it can't be a reducing 9. So it's an ordinary 6. These have a value of 6. Now, I'm so tempted to write in 1, 2, 3. Natural. But of course there could be a light cell there. Now we know this line. Oh, this line is getting long. Let's just draw in this line first, because we can draw in quite a lot of it. And that has to then leave that box from that cell, because this line is going... Oh, they could be the same line. No, they couldn't, because how are you going to get... Oh, maybe they could. No, you can't get this to have a value of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4 is 10. Half the 4 and you've still got 8. So these are different lines, these two lines. And that is the same value as that. It must be the only cell in its box on the line because it can't crash into this one. Right, I was going to look at this line, which is now at least 3 cells long. And in this box, it does not have a heavy cell, but it has to come to 13.5. So it has a light cell. That's not able to be 4. Might as well take the tiny Sudoku wins. It's at least 3 cells long in this box, and it has a light cell on it. So anything not on that has a natural timbre. Therefore, this digit is a natural digit. These must have a light cell on because this can't be more than a value of 9. And the digits on this would add up to at least 10. So there's a light cell somewhere amongst those. This is green because it sees a heavy cell and a light cell in the box. That one too. This digit is either exactly the same as that or it's a light digit with that value, but that seems unlikely. So a light digit has a maximum value of 6. And the value of these is no less than 8. So that is natural because it can't be heavy. I find this quite a complicated puzzle to work through the possibilities of. What are we, 15 minutes in, few digits, not much, but loads of progress. Now these add up to a value of 6. I so want them to be 1, 2, 3, but I don't know if they are. These two are the same, and the value, oh yeah, the value was at least 8 for here, so they are 8s. There we go. Ooh, now we've got some puzzle fog clearance. Good. Now the value of this is 8. That is 1, 2, 3, 4 with a light 4. Now I'm going to have to start logging, or at least mentally being aware of which digits I've made lighter and heavier in the puzzle. So it's a 4 in one of those and a 7 in one of those. Now 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. I can place 8 in this box by Sudoku. Everything else is 5, 7 or 9. That's nice. That line is clearly extendable. And has a doubler, a heavy cell on it. This line has finished. Right, the light cell is in one of those 3. It's finished in box 4. What is actually interesting is it's going to continue into box 7 with another 13.5 segment. Anyway, these two can no longer be light colours because light in column 2 is in one of those. So they don't contain the halving 7. Now, it's an odd digit that's being halved here, and we're coming to a total of 13.5. We've had 7. I mean, that's not that helpful. Oh, well, it's not 5, because that already appears in the column. So it's either 9, giving 4.5 and needing another 9, which would be 2, 7 or 3, 6. There are a lot of possibilities there straight away. Or if it's not 7, if it's 3 being halved, that's 1.5. The others add up to 12. But they can't be 3, 9 because 3's already been used, or 4, 8 or 5, 7. So it's not 3 being halved. If it was 1 being halved, that would be a half, and the other 2 would add up to 13 without being 4, 9 or 8, 5. So it could be 1, 6, 7 with 1 being halved. Or what were the other possibilities? Oh, they involved 9 being halved. Oh, and that's annoying. I'm going to take out those candidates. Oh, 8 is at least looking up to a 9 there. That makes that 8. Now, there's an 8 in one of these cells. But it could be here and be halved. Oh, this line is carrying on. Oh, look, 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 look. This line is going up to there. So where this line goes up to there, it finishes. Or it may not finish, it might go into these cells, but this is the only place it is in box 3. And that, therefore, has a value of 6. So it can't be a heavy 4, because we've had one of those. It can't be a light 9, because 9 is there. So it is a regular 6 in green. These two add up to 8. Goodness only knows if they have heavy or light cells in now. Ah, by Sudoku, there's a 6 in one of these. Look at that. That's really interesting. Suddenly this is no longer 1, 2, 3. There is a halver. It must be the 6. Yeah, the 6 is halving. And then the other digits are 1 and 2. So one of those is a halver. I mean, the amount of stuff I've put in the grid now. Now, look at the top row. 7 greens. I've got blue and red to come in the other 2 cells. That's quite interesting. It's interesting for this 8 line. Hang on, let's just do a bit of Sudoku first of all as well. 3, 4, 5, 7. That one can't be 5. So there is a 5 in one of these cells. So these are selected from 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. Now we're looking for a value of 8. Oh, it's the 6. Yes, it's the 6 that is halving, and that's in one of those 2 cells. So this is not the halver. This is going to be useful, I think. The halver is there, so these are not halvers in their own row. And they're not 7s either. They are from 1, 2, 3, 4. That is the halver in box 1, the 7, the light cell. This is 1 or 2. Right, now that wasn't allowed to be 4, so still don't know about this 1, 2, 3, 4 malarkey. But I got that from looking at these things. Yes, these are all green because they see red and blue. That's green as well. Right, come on. So we've had now 6, 4 and 7 amongst the light cells. So up here, the one that is light is 1, 2 or 3. Well, it can't be 1 or 3 there. And if it was 2, being light, that would be a 7. That is possible. Annoyingly, that is likely, I feel. If this was heavy, though, well, it can't be odd. It could be a 2 becoming a 3, and that would be a 5, so that's not possible. Or a 4 becoming a 6, and that would be a 2. So this is either a 4 heavy with a 2, or a 2 light with a 7 there. Wow. So one of those is a 2. That's what I said here. I could have worked that out more simply by going, since that's green, this cannot be an odd digit, because if it either doubles or halves, you end up in a number ending in a half. I didn't think of that. It doesn't matter. This cannot be a 2 because one of those is a 2. But we didn't actually learn what the type of modifier was in those 2 cells. Never mind. We are being cautious, we are being careful, and we are still making progress. There's an 8 in one of those 3 cells. This line's value, though, is big enough that probably not a problem. That can't be a 9. One of those 2 is a 9. Yeah, there's probably a fair amount of Sudoku to tidy up every so often in this. 7, 6, 9, 8. There's a 5 in one of those cells. I'm not even going to mark that. Okay, let's go back here. We have got an interesting sort of plus shape developing here. Anyway, so this was either going to be, what did I work out? I worked out that it's either a halved, a light 1 or 9. If it's a light 1, this is 1, 6, 7. That would be very interesting, because that would force 1 into one of those positions, and definitely there, and definitely there. You'd get a lot going on. Maybe not enough to break it, but enough to be interesting. Now, the other possibility is that there's a halved 9 here, giving 4.5 plus 2 cells that are either a 2-7 pair or a 6-3 pair. Now they, in turn, would push either 2 or 3 into one of those places, having an impact on these cells, but not one that I'm really able to quantify. Which is annoying, because it means I don't know quite what to do next. I mean, yeah, that's 7. If that doesn't go here, it's on the line. But I think both of my possibilities of halving the 1 or the 9 on that line allowed 7 to be with them, so that's not shocking. Is this line any use? Okay, we've got either... Well, if the 8 is heavy, that's worth 12. Then the line is worth 17, 19, or 21. If it's not the 8 that's heavy, the line is worth 10.5, 11.5, or 12.5. That's quite a lot of possibilities. That's 6 possibilities for what this N is. And that doesn't feel easy. I feel like I'm going to have to find something else. Oh, blow. Oh, that one can't be 4 and therefore is not the halver. I mean, that's a real joy, isn't it? Absolutely thrilling finding. Goodness me. I suppose if that was the 6, this is a 1, 2, 3 triple, and that's the 4. It's going to be finding some bizarre relationship like that between cells and geometry. The next step, I imagine. Or am I meant to think more about this? We've either got a halved 2 and a 7, in which case that's a doubled 1, 3, or 4, but we've had 4. Oh, this can't be a doubled 5 or 9 because of what we've had. So actually there are fewer. Well, it could still be a doubled 8 with any of 5, 7, or 9. That's 3 possibilities. But if it's a doubled cell here, it has to be a, or not doubled, but heavy. It has to be a heavy 7 worth 10.5. Ah. Then we're on 18.5. So we're either on 18.5 or 17, 19, or 21. 18.5 or 17, 19, or 21. But I don't know how long this segment is, so I can't really do any relating. I don't see how I can. I'm sorry if there's something blindingly obvious. I'm not seeing it, whatever it is. Right, I just need to keep focusing on what I can do in the puzzle. So we've had heavy 5, 9, 4, and we're either going to get 8 or 7 there. We've had light 7, 4, and 6. We're either going to have 1 or 9 here. Oh, and down here we're going to have another odd light digit. No, maybe not. We might have a heavy odd digit. So no, don't know that. This is tricky. I can't see what to do next. Have I missed the possibilities here? So I'm saying if it's a halved 1... Oh, I can colour all of these green because they're not on that line, and that needs the blue digit. I mean, that's thrilling, isn't it? No? Not to you? No, not really. Right, let's think about it again. Halved 1, that is still legal, and 6 and 7. Is 13.5. That does work. And then that pushes 1 into one of these positions, and there, and definitely there, where it's not allowed to be a halved 1, because we would just use the halved 1 here. So it would be a doubled 1. And that would be a halved 2 going with a 7. These are all green. Thrilling again. It's close to breaking down, but it doesn't quite do it. A doubled 2 going with 7. Halved 1 here. I mean, other things do suddenly pop up, like the halved digit in column 3 is going to be in one of these cells. And if there's a 1 being halved here, it wouldn't be allowed to be any of 9, 6, 4, 8, 1, or 7. I don't think that gets me anything done. I have to say, I don't think it does. Struggling around, casting around in the darkness a bit at the moment. Some line has gone somewhere and I just haven't appreciated its significance. Is it this one then? Coming here for another 13.5 segment, but I haven't got any fog cleared at all here. Or is there Sudoku that is crying out to be done? It just doesn't feel like it, honestly. That's either doubled 4. No, heavy 4 with a 2 there. Okay, what would that do? That would put 4 here. So we'd have 2, 1. Ah, that would fail. Heavy 4, look at that. That's crazy. If that was heavy 4, making that 2, then this would be where 4 went in box 2. There'd be a 1 on this line. We'd have 4, 1, and 2 there, and we couldn't fill up those cells. Wow. So that is not heavy 4. That is light 2. This is regular 7. This is now heavy and is not allowed to be 4 because we've already had heavy 4. Now, is that going to do anything? It's going to take, it's really not. It's going to take 2 out of that cell and 7 out of this one. Now, the 1, 2, 3, 4 quad, in fact, where do 8, 9 go in this row? They go in these 2 cells. And my typing is really badly off. That can't be a 7 by Sudoku. That is a doubled, no, a heavy 1 or 3. And it's on it's on this line now. Ah. Right, it's ending in a half in this box because it's got a double or a heavy red digit, a heavy odd digit. And therefore it's ending in a half in this box, and therefore the red digit is not the 8. Because that would not have this segment ending in a half. So this is the heavy digit. It's not allowed to be 5 or 9. It's a 7. And the line's total is 18.5. And up here we've either got 1.5 or 4.5 here. 8 or 9 here. By Sudoku, this is 1, 3, 4 or 5. What are we trying to get to? 14.5, did I say? 8 plus 18.5. I don't think the maximum gets us there. 14. Oh no, it does. It gets us exactly there. This bit is maxed out. 5 and 9 and a 3 is 14 plus 4.5. 18.5. Yes. Wow. That's 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the spotlight, proving its position and delighting me by actually making some progress in the puzzle finally. My goodness, this is a bit of an old stretch, isn't it? 2, 4. Look, box 1's finished. No 2 in those cells, so that's a 2. That's an 8. Let's get rid of 3 and 5 here. Okay, so we come down to this. We've also got to get a modifier in here, but, oh, this one sees red in the row and blue in the column, so that's green. The modifier is in one of these 2 cells. Oh, that can't be 8 by Sudoku. I don't know. You know, you do a little bit resulting from what you got, and then you suddenly feel that you've ground back to a halt. 2 can't be in those cells. 3 can't be in that one. I mean, there's tiny little bits and bobs. This is 1, 3 or 5 by Sudoku. Now, we cannot have the 1 on this line, so it is a 9 that is being halved to 4.5. The other 2 cells have to add up to 9. And and they can't be 1, 8, 3, 6 or 5, 4, so they are 2 and 7. So 2, 7, 9 there. This group of cells is 4, 6, 8. We've had the 9 now. So what cells have gone light? 9, 7, 6, 4 and 2. 1, 3, 5, 8 still to go light. 1, 2, 6, 8 still to go heavy. I don't know, we're going to need a modifier in this box of an odd digit, but having said that, I've said everything I know about that situation. Oh, 7 there makes this a 5. That's a 9. Bit of Sudoku. This is not 5. This is not 7. That 9 takes, well, that stops this being a 9, which also stops it having a modifier cell in it. So that's green. Now, one of these is a blue modifier. Don't know if it's there. I am having thoughts about that, in that if it was the blue modifier and an 8, that wouldn't be the necessary modifier to get a half on the end of this line. That would have to be a red one here. Oh, this cell sees blue and red, one in the column, one in the row, so that's green. I mean, that is the most useless nonsense to be actually focusing on for some reason. Okay, come on, Mark. The modifier down here is not going to be 7. It's the light cell. It's going to be 1, 3, or 5. What light cells have we had? 7, 9, 4, 6, 2. Oh, the light cell in this box has to be in one of those two places. So these are both green. Interesting. That's green as well. The red has to be in one of these two. So one of these, maybe both of them, are modifiers. What next? What next? We need an odd modifier in this box. Lots of possibilities. I don't know what to do about that. Four, 6, 8, 8, 4, 7. Oh, Lord, it's confusing, isn't it? Maybe it's not to you. It is to me. There's a modified 4 here and a modified 9 here. So these are all green. The trouble is there's fog covering the lines down here. Oh, I've got this. Do I need to really think about it? Look, that is 1, 3, or 7 by Sudoku. 8, 5, 7, 6. Not, oh, it could be 4. 8, 5, 7, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 9. And this one, 4, 6, 9, 7, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. So do I really need to work out how the ways we could do 18 and a half here? It just seems incredibly difficult to focus on that aspect. I mean, I could clear some fog if I could find out which was the 8. So if this was a natural 8, these would be 10 and a half. That would be a heavy 1, but that would require a 9 here, not available. A heavy 3 would require a 4 here. If that was 8, we're trying to get 10 and a half out of these. No, a heavy 3 would require a 6 there. A heavy 9 is not allowed. So this is not a natural 8. Now, if I could rule out that it's a light 8, then I know it's not an 8. If it's a light 8, it's worth 4. This still needs to be a heavy odd digit, and we're not allowed 9 or 3. So it would have to be a heavy 1. 4 plus 1.5 is 5.5. This would have to be worth 13. This is never an 8. That is what I think I've concluded. So this is 8. I don't know if it's light, but I know it's 8. Yeah, that was right. Okay, good. Now, so this can't be a heavy 3 or 9, this cell. If that is, the trouble is I don't know, yeah, if this is giving an integer value, this has to be a heavy 1. Worth 1.5. These would have to be worth 17. Well, you can't get there. So this is not heavy. 3 and 9 are gone. Well, no, I don't know that. It's not the heavy digit that is giving, it's not this that's giving the half, it's this. This is a light 1, 3 or 5. That's it. And this is not light. This is natural. So this is a light 1, 3 or 5, giving half, 1.5 or 2.5. I mean, the real problem is, how are we going to get up to 18.5? We can't double 9 here. Sorry, it's not doubling. We can't. We're going to get the half from there. We can't get it from here. We're not allowed to double 9, 4 or, to make heavy 9, 4 or 3. And 2 and 1 won't get us there. So this is natural 9. Got to be. 9 plus 7 is 16. And this has to be worth 2.5. That's a 5. There we go. Oh, it was all very doable. I don't know. I find it tough. You're watching that live. 2, 7, 9. Now we know that here it was the 9 that was being lightened. So that's not light anymore. And therefore it's not 4. Because now we've had light cells of 9, 7, 6, 4, 5, 2. We're going to have a light one in one of those 3 and a light one in one of those 3. No, that was meant to be doing all of them. Right, and we've had 9, 7, 5, 4, 6, 2. It's either a light 1 or 3 there, a light 1 or 8 here. But it's got to be a light 1 in this column, because 8 and 3 have been used in the column. So it's got to be a light 3 in this column, and a light 8 in this column. Excuse me. I've got no liquid to freshen the throat. Anyway, there's a 3 in one of those that is light. That's not a 3, that's 1 or 5. Oh, that was good. That was good deducing. That's not 5, that's 1 or 3. 5, 7, 9, 8. This can't repeat one of the heavy digits already, so that's 1 or 6. There's a 1 down there, so that's a 4. Oops, sorry, I accidentally overtyped a 5. 5, 7, 8, 9. 4 is in one of these two cells. Whatever that is in one of those two. And the heavy digits. So we've got a heavy one down here somewhere, and down here, and down here. Oh look, that blue line has been a bit more exposed. I didn't notice that happening. I don't know, that one scares me a bit. And it might carry on in the fog as well. So the heavy one here, what have we got left? The heavy one here is 2 or 8. 5, 9, 4, 7, 3, 1 or 6. The heavy one here is 1 or 6. And that makes a pair with that one. So this is 2 or 8. That's 2 or 8. This one must be a 2. That one must be an 8. Well, there is a 1 or a 6 being made light here. And there's a 1 or a 6 there. That is a very strange form of virtual being made heavy here, sorry. There is a 1 or a 6 there. That's a strange sort of virtual pair that stops both of those being 1s. So now this is a 3, that's a 4, and we now know that's heavy. And that sorts out that these two are not heavy, and that one is heavy and is the 6. So that's a 1, that's good. That's going to tell us, that it is a 6 that's being made heavy down here, and a 1 that's being made heavy in that cell. And that's going to pick up 2, 1, 5. That must be a 1 now to complete the row. 4 and 3. This is a 3, 4 pair now. And I can write in 6 and 2 if I could find them on the keypad, and that makes 6 and 3 there. Right, lots of the top of this puzzle done now. Just the bottom to go. That is 1, 5, 7, and the 1 is light. This group is 1, 3, 7, where the 3 is light. This group is 2, 5, 9, where the 5 is, the 2 is heavy. So we're looking at these heavy and light cells. Right, the remaining heavy cells are 2, 6, 8. So this line is not getting its half value from a heavy cell. It's getting it from a light cell. And that light cell is going to have to be an odd number, which is going to be a 3, because I don't believe this line can reach all the way across to the 1 possibility. What are we looking for as a total? It was 13.5 on this line. So it's picking up a minimum of 7 there from 2 and 5. And 4 there is 11. It's got to get the light 3, which is worth 1.5. 7, 11, 12.5. We're only 1 away from the max, so this must be a 4. And now we know the exact extent of the line. We must be using, well, we might be using heavy 2 there as a 3, but we're certainly not using 9. That is a 2, 5 pair, and that's a 9. In fact, we are using heavy 2 because the 2 that is here is heavy. Gosh. So we're using heavy 2 and 5 to give 8 plus 4, and that must be the 3. And that is light as a feather. No, as a feather, yes. The metaphor is right, don't worry. Those go green. Lots of these things are green now. These are green. These are green, at least minimally. Now, the heavy 2 and 5 are there. These are 1 and 7 in some order. That line is basically finished now. Oh, there's another line. Here it comes. My goodness. Are you kidding me? Okay, I'm not afraid to keep going nice and slow and getting it right, because I do want to get it right, especially having put in this much effort to get this far. It's a crazy puzzle. Okay, so does the fact that there's a line mean it must go into the next box? It kind of does. But I don't know. I don't know how to use that. I'm hoping for some Sudoku to suddenly become obvious to me. It seems a little unlikely that that's going to happen. There's a 9 in one of those cells. Gosh, I don't know. I just don't know. We've got fog still in this whole segment here. There's a heavy 8 in one of those. Right. I kind of want to say that this is not... No, I don't know. I mean, this line, assuming it has 2 segments, it's not going to get a segment ending in a half, is what I feel at the moment, because the only modifier cells available to it are light 8, which is worth integer 4, heavy 6, which is worth integer 9, heavy 8, which is worth integer 12, and light 1, which is, oh yeah, this can't be a 1. Ah, there's a 1 X-wing. This can't be a 1 because it's 1 that is light in this column. Now I've got a 1 X-wing between those. That's using up the ones in rows 7 and 9. So the 1 in box 8 has to be there, and that will clear some fog. Right. That's quite complicated, especially at this stage for me. Right, so we're not going to reach, that line is not going to reach any halving or anything. So this digit is going to be worth the total here. Does it have to be the heavy 8 worth 12? If it wasn't, it would be worth 2, 3, or 4. And that is going to be broken by putting any digit. This digit by Sudoku is 5, 6, 7, or 9 and can only be heavy. So this is not 2, 3, or this digit is an 8. And it's heavy because the 8 has to be heavy down here. Now, that is not heavy now. And therefore not 6. I mean, that might be worth something in a moment. But we're looking for a total of 12 on this line. This is now not an 8 by Sudoku. An 8 is light, so it must be there. Yeah, that's fair enough. That is not 8. This is a 1 in the corner, clearing the last of the fog. That is the last light digit. These two are green. Still two heavies to sort out, but we're moving along quite nicely now, I think. Now, these two have to have a value of 11. If we had the heavy 6, would be worth 9, and that would be a 2. If we had ordinary 5, we'd need a 6 here. That's impossible. If we had ordinary 7, we'd need a 4 here, and that's possible. If we had ordinary 9, we'd need a 2 again here. Oh, goodness, this isn't going to give up, is it? So that's a 2 or a 4. And we just don't know the answer yet. Right, 1 looks across there and does 7. And 1 there. Honestly, I mean, I'm really down to just marking up every cell now. Ah, look, 8 is looking across there. 6, 8. 9, 6, 7, 8, 1. That's a naked 5. That's the sort of thing I do want to find at this point. Naked, because in the row 1, 8, 6, 7, 9, in the column 1, 2, 3, 4. That's doing a bit of Sudoku. Quite a lot of Sudoku, I may say, with some glee. That can't be 3. That's 6 or 9. That is 3. Now, this cell is now a 2, but that had 2 possibilities here, incredibly. Anyway, maybe we'll get to that. This can't be 5 or 7. It is 6 or 9. Well, I know it's got a value of 9 from this line, but it doesn't mean I know whether it's a 6 or a 9 yet. But now I do, because the digit that was getting heavied here is a 2. The 5 is light, and now this is not a heavy cell by the rules, and therefore it is a 9. And this is a heavy cell, which is a 6. And that's all the heavy and light cells painted in. And unsurprisingly, I only have 7 cells left to finish off, and the puzzle is done. Wow, what a marathon. What great fun, though. That's so clever. Oddly Even has absolutely nailed that one. And it's tough stuff for me, but thoroughly enjoyable throughout. Part of the reason we do this channel every day. Great fun. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you again soon on the channel. Bye for now.